Hey, what's up? It's Madeline. I am a certified sommelier and co-founder of WineFolly.com, where we learn by drinking. Today, it's morning here, and I really want to eat this breakfast burrito and talk to you a little bit about wine retail.
So good.
This stuff is addictive. This is the thing that nobody talks about. We go to the grocery store, we buy wine, we take it home, and we wonder why we don't like wine. Well, it could be because of where you're getting it, dude. So I want to talk to you about two sort of things that I'm seeing in the industry and how things are changing while tasting two wines that sort of represent a little bit of how things are changing. We'll see if they taste good or not. I'll be brutally honest with you. So if you didn't know, the United States of America has a system. It was set into place after Prohibition because we didn't want people to buy too cheap of alcohol, and we wanted to tax it every step of the way, getting to the consumer. So the three-tier system basically monitors and taxes wine everywhere along the line. You got your importer, your producer, you've got the wholesaler to the retailer, finally to the little old consumer, you and I, and every step along the way, not only does it get taxed, there's usually a markup along the way. So what might have cost very, very little ends up costing a lot bit more at the end of the road, which is us, my mouth. So the three-tier system is an interesting thing, and it's worked for a very long time, and it's produced some very powerful distributors in the United States that basically control what wines you see in the grocery store and in most places. That said, there are some clever wine businesses out there that try to sort of circumvent what's going on with the three-tier system to go directly to you and to me, the wine consumer. And this is where we see a brand like Naked Wines come into being. It was started by a UK wine merchant from Majestic Wines. Basically what is sort of like a negociant business. And a negociant goes out, they find good wines or good winemakers, they make wine, and then, or they buy wine, and then they resell it using their brand name. The thing that Naked Wines did differently was instead of just being like, I'm a brand, they started a website and created an entire community supported by their consumers of their product to sort of create new wines. At this point, it's very large and it's very popular with a group of individuals who go in, they find a winemaker they like, and they follow that winemaker through the wines that they make. This is one of the winemakers with Naked Wines, Camille Benitah, and she has a Cabernet Sauvignon, and get this, from Napa Valley. This is a place where I've always said, you can't buy a Cabernet for less than $50 in Napa. You can pick this up on Naked Wines as a member for like $30. And then on the other side of it, we've got new producers in new regions who I can bet just about any of you haven't ever had a wine from Idaho, right? Well, this is exactly what this wine is. This is a Cabernet Sauvignon from the Snake River Valley. And the Snake River Valley is right here, and this wine is from right about there. It doesn't even have its own map. So you have to be insane to try to make a wine business in today's marketplace that is controlled by this massive three-tier system. So I thought I would give Idaho a chance and be honest and tell you what I think about Idaho wines, albeit this is just one example. Despite the breakfast burrito, I think I will maintain moderately good palate tasting ability. We shall see. Camille Benitah, let's try your juice, girl. Let's see if this is good. All right, so right away, the color is very deep and dark. This is a 2016 vintage. I'm going to use the back of my map for color inspection here. Very, very rich color. Looks deep ruby. I would say staining of the tiers, so this has definitely got some extraction in it. Possibly it's an unfiltered wine, but I am not certain. Not certain about that. And God, on the nose, very, very aromatic wine. Really has all the right sort of aromatic qualities that I look for in Cabernet. So I'm smelling black currant, black cherry, but this really nice dusty quality that I associate with Napa Valley, which puts on that sort of leather, dust, tobacco kind of thing around the fruit core of this wine. They say fruit core. I like the way that sounds. Fruit core. It's like an apple core. A little bit minty on the finish. There's a little bit of a minty note. This wine supposedly is not just 100% Cabernet Sauvignon. If it says Cab on the label, dudes, it could, in the United States, it can have up to 25% other grapes in it. So, Cabernet Sauvignon. That's what we're saying here. It's Cabernet Sauvignon. Anyway, it smells delicious. I would guess that maybe it's got some Petit Verdot or Malbec in it. I could gleek. It's got pretty good acidity. Finish is a little wonky, but for $30 a bottle, I'd say for Napa Cabernet, it's pretty darn good. And I can taste that she's controlling some, what would be some pretty maybe bitter tannins that are not very strong now. I feel like there's some really good focused winemaking going into this wine to make it taste smooth and lush. And for $30 for a Cabernet from Napa Valley, it seems like a very good value. Camille, Benitah, I feel like you're a talented winemaker and you're doing good stuff. We need to get you some better grapes. Next wine. This is a wine from Huston Vineyards, which is in Idaho. Okay, right away I see some differences between this wine and the Napa Valley. The color, this is a 2015 vintage. The color to me is a lot more, instead of ruby, it's moving towards garnet. Probably deep garnet. It has some noticeable oxidative characteristics just looking at the color. On the nose, interesting. It is much more pulled into this glass than the Napa. When you swirl the Napa, it just flies fruit and tobacco out of the glass. This one I really got to stick my nose in there to get the aromatic qualities. On the top of the nose, sort of like when you smell the top of the glass, it has this sort of funny, almost like asphalt aromatic stuff that's like over the fruit. Fruit characteristics are there. Cherry, almost like dried tomato leaf. I get a little bit of that little vanilla cakey kind of, it smells kind of like a farm. You know when you walk in to a farm and there's some dried cow patties off to the side and you're like, this is the smell of the outdoors. I don't know if I like it or I don't like it. I do like it when wines confuse me and they freak me out a little bit. And this wine is doing this on the nose for me and I don't know why. Why are you doing it? Okay, what the heck? So on the nose, I get all this weird savory earthy stuff and I get a little bit of cherry and it smells a little green to me. I got that dried tomato leaf. But on the palate, it tastes like blackberry pancakes. It's like the fruitiest, the fruitiest freaking thing I would ever put in my mouth. I think there's residual sugar in this wine. I think they're maybe covering up some of their savory quality that they have in the Snake River Valley with residual sugar. I taste a tiny bit of tannin, but not much. It's just a touch. This thing is gonna not age that well based on what my palate is telling me. I feel like it was hot there. I feel like the acidity is reduced. I can't really gleek right now. So I wonder if Cabernet Sauvignon is the right grape. You could do a plethora of really fascinating, delicious grape varieties there. And I am getting a savory quality here. Like, there's something going on in this wine that they're trying to cover up with fruit that makes me go, Idaho might be really good. It's just that they're addicted to having fruity fruit tasting wines, and it's probably because people in Idaho like fruit bomb wines. I think there's potential here. I don't understand what's going on with this wine, and have more questions. Snake River Valley, huh? So I would say that Idaho is figuring itself out. I would say that sandboxed retail companies offer decent, everyday value, daily drinker wines that you should check out. But are you going to get the best, most amazing wine story experience? Are you going to be able to go on an estate vineyard tour with Camille Benitah? Maybe. I think this is an interesting concept, but I'm somewhat skeptical of the execution because it is a sandbox platform, but I still love the idea of reducing that cost, that 3-tier system that we have from going from the distributor, the importer, to the distributor, to the retailer. Each step of the way ends up gouging people like you and me, and we don't get the good, affordable juice. And here is a decent Napa Cab for $30 a bottle, so I have to commend Naked Wines for doing that. Anyway, that's my talk on wine retail. I want to hear your comments. I want to hear what you're mad about. What are your biggest, most annoyances when it comes to buying wine and wine retail? And dudes, what do you think? What should I taste next? All right, I love you guys, and until next time, happy drinking. Let's mix them. Mm-mm. Don't ever do that.